Hello, hello, and welcome, my Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Welcome to your Path of True Love reading for April 2020. I am your reader, Mark Angelo Lyons, Mal for short, president of Drawing the Circle Productions, professional witch, professional intuitive, and dater of Geminis, Gemini moons, Gemini risings. I think I've dated all y'all for the most part, but if not, welcome. Welcome. If you are new to my channel, please do like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you're liking it, because I've been doing super chats in the morning and at night, 11:11 a.m., 11:11 p.m. during this thing that we're all going through. Go check it out in on my channel. You see what I'm up to. But let's get down to business for this one, shall we? This is a general read, right? Please take what resonates. Leave what does not. Check your other signs. I'm trying to keep these brief because upload times with everybody in my neighborhood apparently stretching the bandwidth. I have no idea what a bandwidth means. You line up members of the band and measure them across. I don't know what that means ultimately. But apparently it's slowing things down. So I'm trying to keep these readings a little bit shorter than the usual hour that I do, just to get stuff out there a little bit more proficiently and quickly. Cool. So please, again, take what resonates, leave what does not, because this is a Path of True Love reading. Path of True Love is your spiritual path. It's your healing journey, your hero's journey through the lens of your relationships, because it's really how we learn our most intense lessons, and not just the romantic sexual relationships, although those can certainly be indicated, but all of your relationships, including your relationships to yourself. Now, considering so many of us are sheltering in place, social distancing and all of that, the idea of hooking up is pretty much verboten right now, unless of course you're living with the person that you are hooking up with, married to, etc., etc. Nonetheless, this reading is about you, and this time around the guides were very, very clear. These readings are about how you become the soulmate to yourself, your own soulmate, the mate of your own soul, about loving the different aspects of self into healing and all that jazz. So I'm kind of psyched. It's only 10 cards in the spread, but I'm kind of really psyched to do it because they've been clicking. This is only the third of the series I've done, but the synchronicities between the cards have been bearing out. That's very exciting for a reader when you see things confirm each other, like the same words show up on different cards. Just you get that intuitive chill. So I live alone with my 3 black cats, and they are my soulmates, right? So if you are interested in what a soulmate is as opposed to a twin flame, there are links in the description box below. You might want to check it out, along with all of the links for the decks that I read. We're going to start with the Caroline Myss archetype deck, and I will call out the others as we go. Please remember to breathe so that we're all in the present moment. This way you'll be able to tell what's resonating in your body, what feels right, what doesn't, in terms of your own intuitive process, not just the mind alone, which can talk you into or out of anything if you let it. I will do the same so I can bring you through the quality guidance and grace that I know I can give, that I've been giving for a really long time on planet Earth before YouTube even existed. And let's see if we can enjoy this, shall we? Let's take a nice deep breath. Oh, here we go. My collective pantheons of angels, goddesses, gods, ascended masters, and the higher selves of all involved. Please, one card in clarity. What is the dominant archetype for the Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs on the Path of True Love for April 2020? What is the lead that they can alchemize into gold? The shadow they can embrace, the darkness they can bring into light within themselves, to be their own soulmates, to give themselves the love that only they can give themselves, the healing only they themselves can heal within themselves. Please, just one card in clarity for this Gemini collective Sun, Moon. Oh, I feel ya, Sun, Moon, Rising. There you go. Venus sign, April 2020. Archetypes are light and shadow. I figured you'd dig that, my Geminis. And you are dealing with the divine child archetype. This is a neat one. I have the divine child archetype. Well, everybody has the child archetype because we were all children. But you could say there are sub-archetypes or sub-patterns within the child archetype. We probably have access to all of them, but some of them we're going to relate to more than others. Keep in mind, though, they're all light and shadow, toxic and healthy, so it's all about moving from the lead into the gold through your own healing process on the path of true love. Shall we? Shadow attribute, the inability to defend oneself against negative forces. Now, just empathically alone, right, with what's going on, if you have any sort of energy sensitivity, any kind of empathic skill, first wave, divine feminine, whatever you are experiencing, keep in mind a lot of what you're experiencing, even telepathically, probably not all your own. Probably you're picking up on other people's stuff, right? So the inability to sort of defend against that stuff is very much, obviously, part of the shadow side of the divine child, always needing a protector. This is why the witch in me was really necessary, so that I learned how to set wise, loving, powerful boundaries for myself, which, by the way, also bless others, because then we are one less person they get to abuse, right? So that one less person they have to sort of heal as a result from the damage they've done. The light attribute, however, I absolutely adore. Innocence, purity, and redemption suggests a special connection with the divine, and that I do have. Last night, as a matter of fact, I was brought to tears, feeling the love of the divine, the love of God, the love of Goddess, missing home, not just where I live, but very much, not just where my parents live either, but really missing heaven, Olympus, the embrace of the gods, the angels, whatever you want to call it. I am a mystic, so like I have a direct connection to them in a lot of ways. They don't show up with my eyes open because they know I'm a Virgo. I will call a therapist, and Thorazine knocked me out. So very, very powerful, sweet, innocent in its light, but also like often can be very terrified by shadow power in general, let alone the negative forces of the world. And it doesn't matter how old you are. The divine child archetype really wants to see the divine and experience the divine and believe the divine is in everybody. And we're often quite hoodwinked, shocked when we find that people are deceptive about who they are. Geminis. Can I speak to the other twin, please? I do tease Geminis. My dad, God rest his soul, was a Gemini, and it was always like, can I talk to the other dad, please? I never said that to him. I would have gotten my ass handed to me. But I've certainly said it on second dates. Anyway, shall we? That's a really lovely card to start out with. All of the archetypes are lovely, and they're light and terrifying in their shadow. So let's ask the angels with the Healing with the Angels Oracle to add to this. Shall we? Breathe. My angels, please. One card in clarity for the Gemini Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. What's going on for them? What do they need to focus on, be aware of? To be their own soulmates, to be the mates of their own souls for this Gemini Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, April 2020, please. No, please, just one card in, no, just one card in clarity, please, for the Gemini Collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs on the path of true love. They are April 2020. They say, close your eyes, because usually one pops out. Ooh, the Angel of Serenity. Now, look, I can't not go to the Serenity Prayer, though I was never part of an official 12-step program. I am a research witch, so I researched the 12 steps and used them and worked them as necessary in my life. So I'm very familiar with the Serenity Prayer. I was raised on prayer, really, from my dad, bless his soul. I also have what's called the Grace of Prayer live streams out my mouth, which is why I've been doing prayers on Super Chat for people and on Facebook just live. But it's, here's my version. Oh, good God, Goddess, all that is, grant me the serenity to accept the crazy shit going on planet right now that I can't do nothing about. It's always good to make a colloquial, by the way. The courage to change the things I can, which is what I'm thinking, what I'm choosing, what I'm feeling in that balance, right? Bringing that all together. The stuff behind my eyes, that I can do something about. But the wisdom to know the difference, wisdom comes from experience, and I'll never be able to change what other people think or do or feel. That's all up to them. But when I'm feeling what they're feeling, right, when I am unable to get away from their negativity to protect myself from it, then it must be something that has to be healed and cleared within my own energy field, as I am certainly a clear valve on pressure cooker earth right now. So remember, any of the empathic stuff that's coming through you, remember the serenity prayer. Remember that I can be serene about this. I can bless the emotions that come up and through me as though I am detoxing for the planet. Because we are. Not everybody is, though. A lot of people are repressing their feelings, their emotions, not dealing with them, binging on you name it, you have it, distracting themselves. But that's okay. The light workers are here. The witches are here. We're incarnate to help clean that stuff up in the energy fields of the planet. It's just what we do. Now, just those two things alone, right? The Divine Child with Serenity sounds lovely. But that's why we're going to use the Daughters of the Moon Tarot to represent the voices, or to be the channel of guidance and grace of the gods and goddesses. Usually I would bring in another deck to do the gods. Usually I use these for the goddesses. But like I said, I'm trying to keep these a little bit more brief, a little bit more concise for you all, just for upload times. Because the upload times, yesterday it took 3 hours to get a 50-minute video uploaded to YouTube. And it ain't YouTube's fault. It's just everybody's on the internet, right? So let's ask the gods and goddesses, shall we, through a lovely 5-card spread I like to call the element spread. It's not like I made it up. Fire, earth, air, water, spirit, I'll call it out as it goes. We're going to ask for the top 5 cards. So please, nice deep breath. Oh, I just want to rest back in the gods and goddesses because their statues are behind me. Please, my gods and my goddesses, sacred. Top 5 cards, element spread for the Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. What's going on in their elements on the path of true love for April 2020, please? Fire, earth, air, water, spirit. Show me what's going on with them. Fire. What is it that they desire that they can become their own soulmate? Earth, what do they have to help them become their own soulmate on the path of true love? Air, what are they thinking or need to think about so that they can become their own soulmates? Water, what are they feeling or need to deal with what they're feeling to be the mate of their own soul? And of course, spirit then. What is the point of view of the soul in all of this for the Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign on the path of true love, April 2020, Maiden, Mother, Crone. I put these down here so I don't keep shuffling them. You only have to do that twice to never do it again, or at least try not to. Element of fire. What is it that you Geminis desire? What is it that you want, that you choose, that you burn for passion-wise in terms of you becoming your own soulmate? Well, you got the card of the Empress there. Talk about divine feminine. To me, it is the mother card, right? Mawu, giving birth to a baby. You can watch a crown on the back of an elephant, right? Very much that element of earth, but remember the Empress always has that Venus energy in it. So it's mother lover, not like the Lover's card, but that really divine, feminine, receptive, yet creative, giving birth to new life, whether it's to a literal child, a creative endeavor, a project. The language of pregnancy is the same as the language of creativity. You conceive, you gestate, you labor, you give birth to it, and it takes a life of its own. So that desire there for perhaps a deeper experience of the divine feminine in terms of the maternal, but that not necessarily mean that you have to be a woman for that. It can mean that you want that in your life in some way, shape, or form, either in the place of a partner, perhaps you're dealing with mother issues, perhaps you're missing your mom, or in some way wanting to become a mother, but definitely in terms of element of fire, it's a major arcana card, first card down, that really says that there is something larger afoot here than maybe apparent to the naked eye. The third eye, however, tuned to it, which you Geminis, you air signs are usually good with the third eye. Go deeper into that at some point. Go to your divine mother figures. If you're pagan, witch, etc. Should be easy to find a goddess to work with there, one of the mother goddesses, but otherwise, I'm sure you can find the divine feminine in nature or in any of your religious systems that work for you. Cool. So definitely, okay. And there's also that you want that unconditional love. The Divine Mother is certainly about unconditional love. Divine Father more about unconditional support. The yin and the yang there. So wanting that love, wanting a direct, tangible experience of that divine love, but mostly in that unconditional, you've done nothing wrong, we love you no matter what kind of thing. More of a soul, spirit, divine, mystical love deal, although it could certainly be connected to feelings or something about your own mother. Or your ability to mother yourself. Maybe it's about you really do want, desire, need to mother the child of your own heart, considering there we've got the Divine Mother and the Divine Child. See what I mean? Like this time, well, they usually do, but we're getting some neat synchronicities. So that's what, that's your element of fire to be your own soulmate. What's going on in your element of earth? You've got the Father, you've got the Emperor, Pan, really. With the Divine Child, you got mommy, daddy, baby. There you go. Yeah, these readings have been on fire, considering this is only the third one I've done. That's pretty amazing. So what you have right now is, like I said, that unconditional support. Maybe you're more giving it than receiving it right now, which means definitely this is something you need to give to yourself. Look to your boundaries. Look to... well, if you do consider that the Emperor represents all of the element kings, air, fire, water, earth, in one being, one energy field, then this is definitely the divine yang within you to set your own limits, to set your own boundaries, to set your own procedures, to make your own rules. The kings are the cardinal, so there is that creative... getting primogenitor, a very big word for that, the initiator, the fertilizer, the one who fertilizes, the one who creates in terms of yang, where here you have the internal creative yin. So we're really looking at a full package here in terms of what you want, in terms of what you have. And remember, someone can be out of balance in their divine masculine, but that usually just means that they have a yearning for the divine feminine that they have not embraced within themselves. And look, I prefer the language divine yin and divine yang, the language of Taoism, I Ching, and all of that. But that's not what people talk here in the West, so I gotta kind of go with the language that people will understand there. So you have the divine masculine, you've got the intellect, the divine mind. Perhaps it is now the divine heart that you want more of. What's going on in your element of air on the path of true love? Appraisal, but physical appraisal. Appraisal, what is of value? Who is of value, right, in terms of physical people in your life? What is of value to me? And certainly in the time that we're in, where many of our luxuries have been stripped away, we're learning what is really of value to us, what is really important. When you have something appraised, like a piece of jewelry, like a piece of land, like a house, like a car that you want to buy, it doesn't mean that you're ready to invest. It just means here we have a farmer looking at the sunflowers that she has already grown, and she's kind of like, do I want to do these again? Does this work for me? Maybe I'll sell half and keep half, or maybe I'll just torch them all, right? Although they're kind of pretty. And I do like a sunflower. Sunflower seed butter is delish. But that thing of appraisal, so there is a mental, almost not just a taking of inventory, but a real ascertaining what is important to me in terms of your own life, and in terms of perhaps even ascertaining what your boundaries are, and do you have enough of the love in your life. Like, I know for myself, I can work a lot. I'm a Virgo. I can work 24/7, 365. Give me enough food, enough coffee, enough naps, I can pull it off. But I have to go in and do that spiritual work to open my heart, to connect with the divine. Like I said, I work from home and I live alone, which I really prefer, honestly, at this stage in my life. So that social interaction, particularly because, you know, I'm not leaving my house unless absolutely necessary, and nothing feels that absolutely necessary today, at least. to really connect with the divine feminine within me. Because I identify as a divine feminine, but believe me, if it wasn't for my divine masculine energy, I wouldn't be doing this at all. What's going on in the emotional field, the element of water? You've got another pentacle card. Now, you've got the 8, right? The 8 of pentacles, sorry, the 7 of pentacles here in your element of air, thought. And in your emotion here, you've got the Ace of Pentacles, a new opportunity, a new beginning, a new something, usually physical, tangible. And how interesting, this could very much be the pregnancy of the Empress, the divine feminine. It could be that she has been impregnated. Now, that may be literal in some of your cases, but if you're a biological male watching this, it's probably not the case, right? So it might be that there is something that you are feeling in your intuitive emotional field about a new beginning, a new opportunity really is the word there. So while you might very well be appraising this in terms of the future, the 1 moving into a 7, it could also be you're using your mind to kind of see, well, what can I clear out of my life for this new thing that I am feeling so strongly is either coming, or that I have some strong potential, like I can feel the potential of, that's the phrase. I can feel the potential of this. Remember, within every acorn is an oak tree, but not every acorn becomes an oak tree. Otherwise, there'd be nothing but oak trees everywhere, right? Obviously, some of them are eaten by squirrels. Some of them are cracked under people's feet. And some of them just never get into the ground to sprout, right? Nor do you get an oak tree from an acorn very quickly. It takes quite a life cycle, quite a growth cycle to get to that place. But one acorn, given time to mature, drops billions of acorns in its life cycle. Just saying, huge potential here for something. And really, with the Emperor and the Empress first 2 cards down, poof, in terms of your fire and your earth, pretty cool. Let's see what's going on. I mean, this can really be about you embracing your own personal potential on the path of true love to really experience your own wholeness and completion. Just got to get that divine feminine energy, the desire for that, to kind of embrace that potential within yourself with that Ace of Pentacles emotionally. Let's see what your card of Spirit is. What's going on, the point of view of the soul. Your 3rd major arcana card, the point of view of the soul is oppression. That there is something being weighed down within you, most likely the divine feminine, right? You may be craving something that is already within you. Now, like I said, this spread is about becoming your own soulmate, the mate to your own soul. So what is your own soul saying to you? That usually you see in the card of the devil, chains around the neck of the little demonettes, as I like to call them. This woman is buried under stones, but the stones have faces on them. So it could be the opinions of others that's holding you back. It could be the tribal dictates of where you come from in terms of your family or whatever your tribes are sort of holding you back. Well, I mean, if you're here, you are wanting very much to experience the divine feminine. Perhaps it's the voices of the patriarchy that hold you back. They haven't held me back since the mid-'80s. Thank you very much. I came out of the closet. Bam! Here I am. The door flew open. And we just ripped it off the hinges. There ain't no going back. It's funny now. My closets are sliding doors. It's all good for me. So overcoming your fears. That there are fears going on for you. And you are certainly in a place of appraising, is this all worth it? While deep inside feeling there is this new life, this new opportunity, this new potential calling you forward that definitely has to do with, if not the divine feminine, perhaps a divine feminine in your life, regardless of gender. Like I said over and over in other readings, particularly like the twin flame and soulmate readings, I identify as a divine feminine. I'm also the only gay man in my family, so it's a little easy to do that, considering the masculinity of others in my tribe, so to speak. Very interesting element spread for you all. 3 out of 5 major arcana cards. This is a big deal. This is a big deal month for you. And just because we're not active, running around doing the things that we want to do like we were but a few months ago, then I think the oppression that's also going on here, though you may feel like you're being oppressed by everything going on, this is real internal time for all of us. And don't forget that Serenity card there, that you can love yourself, be serene, and be serene because you love yourself. It's like, let's just chill out. Let's do what we can do and not fret about what is beyond our control right now. Terrifying that divine child of your heart. Remember, we're all the divine child. There's only one divine child, but it's all of us at our core. You could even call that the quantum field, right? That innocent child that we all are at our core. Let's get you a Whisper of Love or Whisper of Love card by Chuck Spezzano. This deck and the next deck are the voices of the Ascended Masters. This deck has 4 suits: Problem, Grace, Luck, and Healing. Let's see which one you get. This is going to give you an indication of what you can embrace, focus on, deal with to be a better mate to your own soul. Please breathe. My Ascended Masters, please. 1 card in clarity for this Gemini collective Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus sign, April 2020. Please, what is it? What's going on for them? What is the piece of problem? What is the piece of luck? What is the piece of healing or the piece of grace that they can acknowledge, embrace, be aware of to help them become the mates of their own soul on the path of true love for April 2020? Please, my Ascended Masters, please. Just 1 card. That's you. Let's see who you got. Infidelity. Now, I know that immediately goes to sleeping with somebody you're not supposed to be sleeping with, whether they're with somebody else or you're with somebody else. But infidelity, fidelity is about honor, right? Like Semper Fi, Marines. It's about not being honest, not being honorable. This can be about going against your own better nature, about going against something that you should know better. You should know better. And hence that thing, are you going against your own innocence? Are you lying to yourself? Are you lying to others? Are you letting people lie to you and you know better, right? Somewhere there is a line of honor that is being crossed in terms of infidelity. Now, if this is literal infidelity, certainly you have the parental cards here. Is this something that's gone on in your life before? Is there something going on in your tribal unit where that thing happened and is being passed down in what's called ancestral patterns? You might not know that, but I do know ultimately that in this time of the internet, there's all sorts of what they call emotional adulteries, right? Now, this card isn't called adultery, it's called infidelity. But the toxicity of it ultimately starts with, I'm staying in a situation where I am not being fulfilled and I'm not even addressing it. So I'm not even giving the other person the opportunity to heal or to deal, usually as a result of codependence. Now look, codependence is a long conversation, longer than we can have in this video. But it essentially comes down to a fear of making your own choices because of how someone else may react. Particularly we learn that as children, when we can feel the emotions of other people so viscerally within our own bodies that we don't dare let on what it is that we really want for fear that they will be angry with us. Now, I certainly dealt with that as a child, and it took therapy, and it took healing, and it took prayer, and it took meditation. But that's why I'm really glad I'm single right now. I know I'm not in a codependent relationship because I'm not in a relationship, right? And with everybody else in my life, I'm like, if you don't like my choices, that's okay, I understand it, but they're my choices, right? Every choice has a consequence. I will face my own consequences, but just because it doesn't make you happy, and there's a card in the deck we're about to look at, the Healing Mantra deck, only I have to feel good about my choices, unraveling codependency. It's a really good card. I doubt it comes up, but you never can tell. So just keep an eye. Ultimately, infidelity is a wound you give yourself, right? And if you are the one that's being cheated on in some way, shape, or form, I could see where the divine child might not want to see it, might not want to deal with it, and maybe that's part of this oppression, right? Don't want to know, in denial. More than a river in Egypt. Let's ask the Healing Mantra deck by Matt Kahn here what's going on. Since the Ascended Masters gave us that problem card of infidelity, they're also the voices that speak through these lovely Healing Mantra decks. One side of the card is the name of the mantra, the other the mantra itself. It's all that's written on the card. That's why I look it up in the book and I'll read it for you, because I can't memorize everything in that book. That's a lot. There's a lot of cards. Breathe. All right, my Ascended Masters, I hear you loud and clear. Please, one card in clarity for the Gemini Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs on the path of true love for April 2020. How can they be the mate of their own souls? What is the perfect healing mantra for the Gemini Collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs, April 2020? On the path of true love, etc. Processing grief. My losses prove how deeply I loved. My losses prove how deeply I loved. That there may be some fear of loss and some fear of grief that keeps you from addressing the infidelity problem. Now, if you're single, I could get why that wouldn't make sense, right? It's like infidelity. But is there a promise that you've made to yourself, a vow that you have made to yourself that has been violated? I will never let somebody treat me like that ever again. And you let them treat you that way because you don't want to what? Lose them. Look, we are all afraid of grief. Who is trained from a young age to process grief in a healthy way? No. We run from it. And here's the thing. I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to comment in the comment section. Do you suffer from anxiety? Because anxiety is usually grief that's been stuffed. It sits in the cell tissue, usually somewhere around the solar plexus, the stomach, and gets triggered very easily at the fear of loss, right? My losses prove how deeply I loved. So if there is some anxiety going on in you, and though I am not seeing this in this deck, there might be some things here that you cannot change in terms of this infidelity. That you are just so afraid of loss that you're sort of on high alert all the time. I've seen it happen with people, and not always in, like I said, not always in a romantic context. But to be semper fidelis, semper fi, to be really honorable with yourself, to have fidelity to yourself, to your path, to love yourself no matter what. And what I say to the child in my heart, because I was involved in a third-party situation last year at Samhain, I had to end it. It was killing me. And this kid in me cried and cried. The child in my heart just shattered, not even into pieces. My heart went to dust. There's no gluing dust back together. And I tell the child in my heart all the time, no matter what comes, no matter what goes, your feelings are important. I love you. I'm here. I'm the parent. You're the child. I love you. The rest of them can go pound sand. Yeah? That's being faithful to your heart. Processing grief. Let me read this to you. You just get processing grief. My losses prove how deeply I loved. When grief is processed, you are able to notice the maturity you gained even when losing the people, places, and things that once defined your sense of self. And look, we're talking about maturity here with the divine child archetype, right? Inability to defend oneself against negative forces. Perhaps the negative forces you stay with because they protect you or supplement your income or something like that. I mean, this could even be through work, but many of us are working from home right now anyway. As you process grief, you are able to celebrate how deeply you committed to love instead of holding a grudge towards those who left or couldn't love you back. Girl, I mean, seriously. I just went through that November, December, January, February, and here we are at the end of March. Once grief is fully processed, it can ignite a deeper commitment to love. You know that your alignment with Source is not a matter of what comes or goes, whatever comes, whatever goes. It is determined by how much of yourself you are willing to share. So some people get, certainly this is a psychological dynamic, where they are aloof, where they are neglectful, where they don't share themselves because they are so afraid of loss, because they have not processed the grief. Therefore, they have anxiety, fear of commitment, etc. This mantra is ideal for opening back up to love, rebuilding trust, your own, of other people, with that divine child. That makes sense, right? Innocence, purity, and redemption. Here's the redemption part of it, right? And addressing heartache. Pretty neat card there. But we're not going to leave you with that. We're going to get you a Whisper of Love Oracle card, the voice of the collective higher selves for the Geminis. Ready? Nice deep breath. Then we'll pop up the picture and we'll have a look at the overview. Higher selves of all involved, please, one card in clarity for the Gemini collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs on the path of true love for April 2020, please. That they can be their own soulmate, right? Since you are sort of representative of the whole package, the soul and all of that, please, extra higher dimensional higher selves for the Gemini collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. What's the Whisper of Love for this Gemini collective for April 2020? Choose love. You always have a choice as to what you should do. Look, choose to love yourself. Choose to love all involved, even if silently at first. Choose love, because with infidelity, you're choosing fear. Like, even if you're afraid of infidelity, you're choosing fear. Or even if you know infidelity is going on and you're not the one cheating, but you don't want to leave because how will I defend myself against negative forces? How will I deal with the pain? Let me just stay in the toxicity. Now, again, this could be about a relationship with anybody, not necessarily romantic, sexual. This could be about being in a toxic situation, a job. Now, I know, tricky on planet Earth what we're doing, or in a career that's just destroying your interior love for the world, right? Choose love. You always have a choice as to what you should do. Now, certainly, this can speak of a psychological pattern, a family pattern, an ancestral pattern, particularly with this card of oppression. Now I get this card of oppression, right? That you are being oppressed by fear, that perhaps you don't want to leave a toxic situation because all of your friends and family think it's great where you are, and you know shit they don't know. Yeah, it happens. I counsel people all the time, but I've dealt with this before. But I'll tell you what, I don't cheat. I've been in open relationships. Never again the open relationship time. It's not my thing. I tried it though. But certainly processing grief. Grief is love that doesn't know where to go because the object of love's affection is gone through divorce, death, or distance. And the worst, divorce is horrible. Death is so devastating. But there's a certain slow drip psychological torture through distance, particularly when you're in the same room, but you're both billions of miles away from each other. That's really hard. So to choose love for yourself, that all of this stuff is scripted in the divine plan anyway. It's like a video game. What's a video game without challenge? Otherwise, it's just a straight line all the way through. And as much as we want to feel safe, and boy, does the child want to feel safe, child also wants to feel happy, wants to feel redemption, and eventually does grow and mature to be able to embrace and accept all aspects of life, including grief and the anxiety that rises when we don't process our grief. Let's pop up the picture, see what's going on here, and what else we can do for you. Ready? Magic clap. We start off with the divine child archetype in the shadow, an inability to defend oneself against negative forces. The light attributes, innocence, purity, and redemption. So really, looking at that card of infidelity here, that you're going against, you're betraying, you're oppressing your own innocence here, your own purity, but the ability to redeem, to be redeemed as well as to redeem others, suggests a special connection to the divine. Go to your gods, go to your higher power, go to your angels, pray, 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 pray. Ask for guidance and grace. But then with that card of serenity, know there are certain things you can do and there are certain things that you can't. So yes, there are going to be consequences. There are going to be changes. Even if you stay in the oppressive situation of infidelity, there's still going to be changes. So you might as well do it honorably, right? To have fidelis for oneself, which does make sense why in your element spread here, you've got the Empress in terms of what it is you want. Your element of fire, you want that unconditional love, that unconditional support, that love of the divine to nurture that child within you that says it's going to be fine. I love you no matter what happens. I love you, heart of my hearts, my sweetheart. Really, if you can envision your heart chakra, your emotional body as the inner child, that will really help to mother yourself, because what you have is the ability here in the element of earth with the Emperor, the divine masculine, to, in a sense, rule yourself or to set new boundaries, to take care of yourself physically, maybe even to protect yourself. Looking at that inability to defend oneself against negative forces, maybe you have that, but it's just a muscle you haven't exercised out of fear. The Seven of Pentacles in the element of air, you're absolutely then appraising, is this worth it? Is staying in this toxic situation worth it? Now, I understand not everybody who's watching this reading may get that infidelity in terms of a committed partnership where someone's cheating, but there's definitely something there that you're appraising. Is any of this worth it? Aren't I worth more than this, right? Appraisal is always about worth, but because in your emotional field, in your intuitive field, is that Ace of Pentacles. You know that there's a better opportunity for you. Maybe you already know what that better opportunity is, but emotionally it is growing inside of you, and it's just going to keep going because it is a healthy seed, a healthy new beginning, a healthy new opportunity. But you know, the voice of your own soul is saying you are oppressed by fear, and that's all you're oppressed by here, is the fear of what may come. Fear for my own safety. Look, I understand, considering the situation we're in right now, you may not be ready to pick up your bed and walk. Considering, just leave that there, that word considering carries a lot of weight considering where we are, but that the only thing that's really holding you back might very well be the opinions of others. The moment that you are able to free yourself, I suggest you do, or at least really get into, with that card of infidelity, who's zooming who, right? Who's betraying who? Because ultimately infidelity, no matter which side you play, if you're the one that is being cheated on and you know, then you're not being true, honorable to yourself. And there is always a biological consequence to dishonor. Ask Caroline Mace, she'll tell you. Honor has consequences, as does dishonor. So you could say there's really no true healing without honor. And you know why? You need to process grief. You need to have the good cry. My losses prove how deeply I've loved. So maybe you are staying in an unhealthy situation regardless of who the other person is or what role they play, lover, parent, friend, whatever, because you have not yet processed the losses and the grief from past experience. So it's sort of like even the hint of leaving just terrifies you, but you got to push it down, push it down, push it down, oppression, just to keep going. Well, now you know that you have the ability to do this. Otherwise, this mantra card would not have come up. But please get yourself the support necessary to do that. I've been doing my own emotional healing work for decades. So when I process grief, yeah, I don't live with anybody. I don't have to explain shit to anybody. But that alchemy has transformed me on so many levels that now it's not that I welcome grief, but I'm not terrified of it either. And what is the whisper of love from your higher self? Choose love. You always have a choice as to what you should do. So choose love. Love for yourself. Honor yourself. Respect yourself. Embrace yourself. Be your own soulmate, the mate of your own soul. Love that child within your heart so that you can heal, grow, and become the best that you can be, that divine child fully manifest, which the world is in desperate need of its miracles and redemption right now. That was a mouthful and a half. I mean, I know I'm verbal, but that was just like the Niagara Falls of verbiage flying out my mouth. Whew, my Geminis. May the Gemini collective, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs be blessed with all that they need on the path of true love for April 2020 as we're all going through all this crazy together. I will be honest, no immediate action is being shown here, but it's saying there is action available. There's some decisions. You have to be the emperor of your own life. You have that position within you, regardless of your gender preference, any of that. But that's what's going to help you get this this divine feminine unconditional love, the support of the goddess from within you to remove some of these oppressive blocks. Who gives a damn what other people think at the end of the day if you are suffering? Don't you dare make other people's happiness more important than your own. Chances are, if you're getting a reading anyway, you're not a narcissist. You're just trying to do the best that you can. But if you're a people pleaser, oh honey, good luck with that. It doesn't work because you can only stand on your head so many ways to please people. At the end of the day, you're going to have to be the mate of your own soul because we all are. Wishing you the very best and the very blessed of the month of April 2020 on the path of true love. I know this is rough. Reach out. I read people all the time about stuff like this. I'll be glad to serve you. Links are in the description box below. But for now, my beloved Geminis, hail, farewell, and blessed, blessed